Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video where I'm going to share what I know about the next full moon in Capricorn. I'm Julie from Maison Jupiter, and thank you for sharing this moment with me. Thank you for joining me in this video. I think it's going to be a very, very intense full moon because, first of all, it's going to conjunct Pluto very tightly. So we already know that whenever we get full moons, it's usually sort of a climax and apex of energy, bringing results, bringing also an emotional sort of peak also in our human experience. So that alone is considered like usually to be around the energy of regular full moons. But then if we combine that to being conjunct, so very close to the planet Pluto, less than a degree. So then we have a very, very intense culmination of energy. And plus, if you do remember from my last video, the previous full moon that I talked about here on the channel, this is the second full moon in a row in the same sign, in the sign of Capricorn, that is. So that is very rare in itself. It really highlights even more this theme of Capricorn, which is the theme of structure, of governments, of the father, of discipline, career, professional life, public status. So that need of being in a sort of container within society. But what do we have right next to this full moon in Capricorn? Pluto that just entered Aquarius. So there is this, to me, this is a full moon, and we're going to talk about in this video the personal side of things, but also the collective. So stay tuned until the end. I'm going to cover both. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But Pluto just entered Aquarius, and Aquarius deals with new ways of doing things, thinking outside the box, using AI, for example, using new technology. So, and not only that, but also thinking, let's say, decentralizing the power, like putting a focus on communities, on connecting to each other among the living beings. So to me, this is really bridging what I like to call the old order to the new world. So the old world versus new world. This old system of control to the new ways we're going to do things. So, and for sure, Capricorn also talks about this needs to, well, Capricorn likes structure, it likes tradition, it likes to do the same things over and over again because it is proven, it works, it offers us some kind of stability. But Aquarius is like, very different from that. Aquarius wants newness, change. So we're going to have to all integrate new ways of doing things. So if you have a business, I'm sure you're confronted to, like, let's say, usage of new social media, AI, all of that kind of stuff is very, very, very Aquarian in nature. And in our personal lives, it's talking about adapting to the new world that we're creating that is going to be much more community-based, also dealing a lot more with this holistic approach to everything within health, within the way we trade services, that we trade finances. So also Aquarius deals very much with the financial side of things. So I believe this full moon will encompass all of those topics, not to say that there will be, let's say, a sudden ending to all of that. I don't think it is like suddenly the whole world is going to collapse in one day. So this is not what I'm saying, but I believe very strongly that around this full moon, we're going to get very clear signs that it is indeed collapsing. And I believe the very last chapter of this collapse of the old world will be when Pluto will retrograde towards the end of the year, exactly at that degree where we have this full moon. So it is very telling that we have this full moon at 29-degree Capricorn this time, second one in a row in Capricorn. So an ending, 29 degree is the Anoritic degree. It is a degree of like some kind of crisis, some kind of buildup of energy. So Pluto is going to retrograde exactly at that position. And I'm going to tell you the dates right away. It's from September 1st until November 19 of this year. So this is the last time in our lives we're going to witness the old world as it is. And when we step into, well, from this period, so September until end of November, Pluto will finish its destruction or transformation, whether you prefer the word transformation or destruction, of, let's say, the old empire, the old ways of centralizing the power. So this is what I believe will likely happen. But during this full moon, this is kind of the trigger point of this collapse, of this old empire collapse. So we will definitely see signs that we are indeed moving into a new world that is going to, let's say, function with a whole new set of rules, Aquarius. And this full moon is asking us to transition from one to another. So whether it be in our professional lives, identifying differently to our professional title, to what we do, but also in our personal lives, and also in the institutions and the governments and so forth. So as you can see, this is a big deal. I'm very excited personally about this full moon, and I have to say that it's making beautiful aspects, although of course it is conjuncting Pluto, so we can expect intensity as usual. But the other aspects are very much supporting of this need for change, and I believe it is like the perfectly aspected full moon in order to bring forward what we know we need to bring forward. So I call this full moon the full moon of liberation and of big transformations. So I believe also we will be seeing some form of ending in our personal lives that will, let's say, open up space for a whole new chapter, because also Pluto, when it is leaving the sign of Capricorn, that means that for you in your own birth chart, Pluto will sort of liberate one aspect of your birth chart. It will leave one house if we use the whole sign system. So Pluto will finish its huge transformation of one of your houses, and to know better what house it's going to liberate, you can look in your birth chart, and you're going to see where Capricorn falls. So this is where Pluto was transiting the sign of Capricorn since 2008, so 2008. So you're going to have an idea of what's coming to a close, what kind of themes you can expect to, let's say, round up in your life. And then, of course, it's going to move to another house. So the transformation process is never ending, of course, as we know in the spiritual community. But Pluto leaving this house would also bring results, gifts, and also, let's say, rewards for having gone through this shadow work, intense transformation phase of your life. Okay, so I have prepared a few slides for you, and I know I had a comment or a few comments in my last video that I did not do slides, so you will have your slides in this video. I did a general one, but then I did one for the personal side of things, what we can expect, and then for the collective. So stay tuned. I think all the aspects of this full moon are going to be super interesting. And right before I dive into the slides, I wanted also to connect the last video that the last astrology video that I put on the channel with this one. So we've just, let's say, gone out, well, not really out because it's still in orb right now, but we had a Mars-Uranus Algol conjunction exactly on July 15. It is still an aspect when we have this full moon, and it's making a trine, so a positive supporting aspect to this full moon. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my last video on the triple conjunction Mars-Uranus Algol. It was talking about intensity, also potentially people, let's say, leading the political scene, losing their heads, because this is the The archetype for the star Algol, it is Medusa losing her head to Perseus. So we've seen that very publicly with Trump's assassination attempt. So this aspect of intensity, of almost like a rebellious like, will be fired up with this full moon. So I believe there will be also consequences to that event that we're going to see very much publicly. And just know also in our personal lives, we are still feeling the intensity of that conjunction, which is now in a really good aspect of this full moon, which means that we have like the support from the universe and the drive and the fire to pursue the changes that we need to make in order to change this big structure in our lives, that we need to adapt to this transition, to this bridging in the new world. So I believe we are all aware that we are stepping into a whole new era, and the game rules are going to change drastically. So what can we do now to adapt to those new game rules? What can we do now in order to prepare ourselves for the future? Capricorn deals about long-term vision, future, making sure we are safe, materially secure, making sure we adapt our structures, the way that we structured our life, our material resources, into stepping into this new world that is going to change drastically. And just note that since we have Pluto in Aquarius, it's talking about decentralization of power and of finances. So just so you know, it is not talking, and although we might see, let's say, attempts by the dark side to centralize power again, this is not the main trend. This will not last. So just beware and be mindful of that. So sometimes we might get discouraged because we see that some of the agendas and scenarios are be pushed forward, but they're not going to last, because the main tendency will be Pluto in Aquarius, meaning the decentralization of that power. And also, I believe like one of the big themes that will surround this full moon is this individuation process. So Uranus, Mars, that are supporting this full moon in Capricorn, and next to the Pluto in Aquarius, is talking about not identifying so much with society, with what society expects of us, but really coming into your own self, coming into your spiritual self, really knowing yourself to the core, your soul, in order to know that although we share a lot of DNA here on Earth, generally speaking, we are coming here for a different purpose, for a different mission. So really know yourself in order to know what makes you part of a whole, but also what makes you unique and different. This is a big theme that we will talk about a lot with that Pluto ingress into the sign of Aquarius, which talks about the Leo Aquarius axis of authenticity and individualization. And with that, also it talks about individual freedom, of course. And Tim, in my last video, I think I was looking for the exact expression, got me the reference, and now I think it is Spider-Man. I keep forgetting this one. I don't know why my brains want to forget about like the source of this phrase, but it says something like freedom comes with responsibilities. So I believe it is one of the perfect, let's say, sentences that could describe this full moon. Full moon being in Capricorn, responsibilities, and then Pluto next to it talks about this need for freedom. Both really go together, because you know that if you want to live off grid, for example, so you want that sense of freedom from being told by your government what to do, how to do it, so you want to live off grid, well, you have to organize every infrastructure and structure possible in order to support you and your family. So freedom comes, yes, with responsibilities. And this is kind of the name of the game here for this full moon. So without further ado, let's step into the slides that I've prepared for you guys. Here, no, this is not what I want. Okay. So just for a short visual before I dive into my slides, you can see here the moon is at 29 degree Capricorn, and here we have Pluto already retrograde, which will then retrograde back to this exact point from September to November. So they're very close, as you can see, out of sign, but still very close, very powerful. And it's going to be very emotionally intense. And then we have the conjunction that I've been talking about that is making a trine here. Mars, Uranus, and then we have plenty of good aspects. And one of the aspects that I want to highlight here, and I'm going to talk about in just a moment, is that we have a sextile, so another supporting aspect to this full moon and to Pluto, because the moon is at 29 degree Capricorn, and then we have Neptune at 29. So if you do remember my latest video for the other Capricorn full moon, we had a square, a T-square for Neptune comparing the sun and the moon. So Neptune was at a very, let's say, tense position with this full moon, meaning we had a lot of fog. It was very hard to come to conclusions and to get clarity on our journey, our future, on what did we want to implement in our lives when it comes to professional life structures, responsibilities. But now, look at what is happening. We have a sextile. So now I believe we are getting clarity from, let's say, I think we had a lot of ideas of how we could structure our lives, what we can do for our future in order to prepare ourselves for that big switch between the old world to the new world. But now we are definitely getting clarity. So if you can tap into this Neptunian energy as much as you can, I believe you will get glimpses of the future, of like prophetic messages from your guides. It is a very, let's say, positive aspect and very precise also, because both are at 29 degree, which is the sign, the degree, I want to say, of prophecy. So we will definitely get clarity. If you don't have clarity, take some time to meditate, take some time to ask your guides, connect with your guides that are here for your highest good, and you will get answers. So, as I said, I call it the full moon of liberation, big transformation, because it is linked to Pluto. Second full moon in a row in the same sign. Then the transformation of the house where Capricorn falls in your own chart is almost complete at the moment of this full moon. So it will be completed later this year, but at the moment of this full moon, it will definitely highlight something that needs your attention, because it is almost complete, but you will have a message that something needs to be tweaked, or there will be a reward coming to you regarding that almost completed transformation of the house where Capricorn sits in your chart. And then what I really like about this full moon is that we will likely see the completion of something we worked for at the latest full moon on June 21st. So this one is on July 21st. So 1 month later, we get to see rewards or results for the goals that we've set or the things that we worked for. So definitely results, completion will be a peak of energy surrounding what we were manifesting a month back from now. If you do remember my last Capricorn full moon video, I talked a lot about our relationship to the divine masculine, to becoming our own authority, our own father within ourselves, to really activate this divine masculine container structure so that our own inner divine feminine could feel emotionally secure and safe. So this is what's at stake here for this full moon, but also the previous one that we've had. So yes, there is also this need of becoming stable, responsible, but hopefully we took the steps at the moment of the last full moon in Capricorn, and now we're going to see things moving forward with that full moon now. Yes, I talked about that. So sextile to Neptune, clearer picture of what we are building. We will get also a lot of inspiration. So if you do need inspiration because you you're still in this process of not knowing exactly what you want to build for your future, then this is the perfect full moon to attune to that Neptunian energy. So connect with water, connect with your intuition, meditate. Any kind of spiritual practice is going to highly help you get that inspiration and that, let's say, clear picture of what you need to build for your future. It is trining Uranus, so we might see a lot of change. Change is going to be supported at this time. And both, let's say, this full moon with Pluto and Uranus talk about a liberation of a particular situation. And on that note, I want to also mention that the ruler of this full moon is Saturn, because it is in Capricorn. Saturn turned retrograde somewhere between the two full moons. So I think this is very telling, because whenever we have an outside planet moving retrograde or direct, it means that, let's say, the momentum is changing. There is a change of direction, and Saturn rules karma. So there is definitely a change in karma in, let's say, in the sense of the obstacles that we were meeting at the last Capricorn full moon that now might not be around anymore. So there might be some obstacle lifted. There might be a change in karma, allowing you to do things that you were not allowed to do before, or if you've experienced before some kind of blockages or, let's say, karmic duties or relationships that were very tough to deal with. Now you're going to see a definite change. So a lot of those blockages could be lifted around this full moon because of that Saturn that changed direction. And Saturn is making a sextile to Mars. So it's really calling for well-planned action and also action, because Mars is a planet of action. And there is, although this square, so Saturn square Jupiter, but it's going to be a long-term aspect that we're going to have to integrate in our lives, which is this aspect of tension between contraction and expansion. But this is a longer aspect that we're going to talk about in another video in more detail. All right, so now what could it mean for the collective? Let's talk about that first. So, well, okay, so this is not exact, but it could be, let's say, influencing the United States and the currency, so the US dollar as well. Because this full moon that falls at 29° Capricorn is very near USA's natal Pluto, that is at 27 degrees. So there is a 2-degree difference, but I still consider it to be in orb. So we could definitely see some things moving regarding, let's say, finances, economic change, market volatility, because this is a full moon, so bringing lots of emotional tension. And we know that every time we have, let's say, a lunation or something involving the moon, which is the people in astrology and mundane astrology, affecting finances, we see the markets fluctuate a lot more. So when people are scared or feeling, let's say, very high emotions, usually they want to retract their money. So that's when the markets sort of go up and down. So we could see that. Pluto also is very intense and still very close to the USA's natal Pluto. So that is one thing here. Also, as I said, we could be seeing signs, not necessarily the whole thing collapsing, as I said, but signs that it is indeed the death of the old order. So in that sense, I believe we might see, let's say, symbols that talk about this old order that may fall apart or collapse. So political figures stepping down, corporations announcing that they are bankrupt, for an instance, financial institutions announcing things that make us believe that it's not going so well, for instance. Also, we might see government issues exposed, bankruptcies, not saying necessarily related to governments, but corporations in general, or corporation issues exposed. So at this moment, I believe it's going to be red flags, because like I said earlier, I think the real collapse for all of that will likely happen this fall when Pluto makes its last retrograde into the sign of Capricorn, which deals with governments, big corporation, institutions, all of that. So I believe this will, let's say, clean up this energy one last time before it really steps into Aquarius for the next 20 years. Okay, so this is one thing that I've noted that is really big at the moment. This major collective transition to AI within corporations, governments, businesses in general. So there is this big push, and I believe, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a video especially on AI and spirituality and astrology. I believe this is a theme that needs its own video, so let me know if you'd like to hear that. But we're all coming to this point where we have to think about how do we want to use AI, whether personally, whether collectively. A lot of people are resisting it. Is it totally bad? Probably not. But is it totally good? Probably not. Is there a way that we can incorporate it and, let's say, helping us without taking away this creativity from us humans? So another big topic for another video probably, but just to keep your mind, let's say, thinking about that, because whenever we talk about Pluto in Aquarius, it really talks about that. And I've been going down this rabbit hole of like how AI is being incorporated within businesses, within business models, corporations, and it is truly fascinating with the link with astrology. So just to, on a collective level, there will be probably big signs that we are indeed moving this way. Also, we could see big corporation updating their data banks, maybe new technology being used there. So of course, it takes us back to this famous digital ID concept that might get an upgrade around this time. So when I said that, it might seem that we're centralizing things more, but just remember that the main tendency of Pluto in Aquarius is not to centralize. So just keep that in mind. But there will be, I believe, attempts to counteract this natural tendency of astrology. Also, a big theme that might also happen there is protecting your privacy, which talks about Cancer, and the sun will be there opposing the moon, your personal and professional data and information. So I believe there will be this theme of, because now that a lot of data banks are centralizing our information, personally or business information, there is also a big potential for breaches, privacy breaches. And I keep receiving emails, you guys probably too, on your side, that like this company had a breach in their own data, and oh, my personal data was released. So I keep getting those emails. So I think this is a huge tendency, and especially at the moment of this full moon. Also, I wanted to say that immigration matters right now are facilitated because we have right now a sextile to Neptune at the very last degree of Pisces, which talks about moving away to faraway places, immigrating somewhere. So if you guys are thinking about setting your roots somewhere else, I believe the window of opportunity is definitely from now until May of 2025. Because I believe it will then be a different story as Saturn gets closer to Neptune, and Neptune will change sign into Aries. So Saturn will bring more rules, more, let's say, yeah, it will be harder basically to do that. So just letting you guys know if you ever were thinking about that. There will definitely be this rebellious energy of Pluto. Pluto is the huge, why do I have a fly in my face right now? Okay, that might be a sign. Definitely, I believe that this was a sign, because we're gonna have lots of, let's say, this battle between the light and the dark will get one notch more emphasized at the moment of this full moon. So people in power will try to keep power, and people that are more attuned to the new frequency of the new earth will try to rebel. So just keep that in mind. There will be people reacting strongly. Think about what happened at the triple conjunction. We might see consequences there. On a personal side of things, we are completing something we worked for at the previous Capricorn full moon on July 21st. So think about what was happening in your life a month ago. And we will definitely see similar things coming up, and also movement regarding those themes, change, more clarity, more forward movement. There is definitely this theme of death and rebirth because of Pluto. Finding more freedom also will be a huge theme. And like I said, freedom also comes with responsibility. So we might need to feel more responsible as we attune to this need to being more free from society, from governments, from big corporations. Yes, we will get this clearer picture of what we are building or trying to build. And definitely a completion regarding the need to solidify our own structures. So material, or if you have a business, that will also be the case. So you will see some things moving, some things being completed regarding that need to solidify this new structure. So what I was talking about, this integration from the old world to the new world, not everything will be, let's say, put to the garbage. We need to keep some things from the past, but also we need to bridge the eras and step into this Aquarian era within our business, our home, everything. So you know that, for instance, there's a lot of like Bluetooth devices. I've always like shied away from that because I think about like all the Wi-Fi and all like what could go wrong if something doesn't connect to one thing. Anyways, so you can see like there is resistance to whenever there's something new coming on to the market. But at the end of the day, there we are moving into the future, and we cannot prevent evolution. We cannot prevent the usage of new technology. It's just the way that we are not letting technology use us. We are creative, and we shall remain in control of what we want to build, and technology shall support what we want to build, not the other way around. But we all will have to really think about how we want to integrate the future. New technology, AI, thinking outside the box, decentralizing the power. That also applies to finances. That applies to like how you want to live with your life, your home. Do you want to be off grid? Do you want to live in a community, for instance? How do you want to, let's say, transact with your money and your resources? So, for instance, and this full moon, that, like I said, bridges the gap between old world and new world. So be ready to adapt. Yes, this is very important at the time of this full moon, because there will be fast-paced change after, especially after Pluto moves, not permanently, but moves in Aquarius for real this time after November 19th. So it will be so fast that the preparation we are doing right now, it is key that we are doing it now, because we're going to face a whole new world come Pluto into Aquarius once it is there to stay. So a time to up-level your skills, professional skills, personal skills, upgrade also your professional identity. Like, for instance, as you know, you've probably heard about that let's say big corporations want to replace a lot of people with AI, with technology. So that leaves a lot of people with, let's say, a void of identity. Because if you like identified only on your professional status, and then you did not adapt to like making this transition to the new world, then you're stuck between the two. So for an instance, if you're in that case, or if you're close to retiring, or if you're retired, try to really think about the future. How does it look for you? And how do you want to perceive yourself? How do you want to identify yourself, maybe outside of the old world? And yes, I talked about that. Neptune will be our ally to get glimpses of the future or of our future. So really tap into that connection you have with your guides, with your spirit guides, and definitely finding solutions regarding our material reality. We will get results, completions, and karmic ending as well. So full moon talks about endings, and it is the last degree of the sign of Capricorn, so definite endings, especially regarding the professional life, anything that deals with karma, especially with, let's say, authority figures, father figures, bosses. Also, your own need to, let's say, move up the ladder to your ambition. There will be endings, completions, rewards regarding those themes. So last thing I wanted to talk about, I just released this workshop. I'm very proud of this workshop. It is a solar return workshop, so a very short workshop, 5 video, and then I did 2 other video as a bonus talking about the perfection. So what theme in your own chart will be activated at your next birthday according to what age you're going to get. And I get deeper into that in the workshop. And also, I think this solar return workshop is like very, very pivotal in order for you to understand the power of your birthday and what you can manifest from your birthday until your next birthday. So if your birthday is coming up somewhere between here and the end of the year, it is time to really get into that, because I'm going to show you in that workshop how to tweak also your chart to align it to your intention for the next year. And how we can tweak it, well, it is by traveling to other locations. So that will rotate your solar return chart. And I'll show you in that workshop how to do that, so you can plan where you want to be for your next birthday. But also, if your birthday just came, I believe it's also a really great tool in order to understand your solar return chart, what you can manifest with it, and also what you want to do for your next year. So check that out. We have a very special promo that is a 50% off. So probably a one-time deal that we're going to do on the Academy. So use the code Solar Return, all in one word. So make sure there are 2 R's in there, and you will get that 50% off. So this is for a limited time, only until the end of July. So until July 28th. So really take advantage of that workshop. I think summer is the perfect time to look at that and to make plans for your next manifestation birthday period. Thank you so much, guys, for staying with me. If you did appreciate this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I thank you in advance for your kind support and all your beautiful comments. And let me know in the comments below if you are feeling the energy of the full moon, and if you appreciate that new way of making astrology video. I try to pop more often because I believe we are going through fascinating times together. So thanks, guys, for watching, and have a beautiful full moon in Capricorn.